welcome to Music at Maddens with me, Lynette Fay. This is a podcast recorded in the beautiful snug upstairs in Maddens Bar in Belfast, which is widely recognised as the home of traditional music in the city. I think that's a fair enough comment. Yeah, we've got a nod here from our guests this week before I've even introduced them. So we platform musicians on the podcast from all over and celebrate our wonderful community of people who are into traditional or folk music in any way. And as well as listening on Spotify and Apple, you can also watch on YouTube and catch up with any episodes you might have missed. And please leave a review and subscribe while you're there. So this week, I'm just delighted that this pair have agreed to come in today. Sisters Deirdre and Ella McGrory have joined me in the snug. They're from Inisowen, from a musical family. Deirdre sings and plays whistle and Ella plays fiddle and piano, and both have studied music and are graduates of the Irish World Academy in UL. Both received first class honours, if you don't mind. And their EP Linear captured their favourite music from childhood, and they've just released Streets of Derry featuring Paul McClure. So welcome to Music at Maddens, first of all. It's great to see both of you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. So welcome. Well, we're going to hear a rendition of the Streets of Derry after the chat. So why was this the song you wanted to record just after? This the first recording after your EP, is it?
We had a bit of a hiatus there. We've been doing bits of gigs and stuff, but that's the first proper recording. But it was you who, like, with Streets of Derry.
Yeah.
Do you want to say about that?
Yeah, so we would always have grown up listening to all of the kind of classic albums, one of them being the Paul Brady and Andy Irvine album. And that song in particular, we just always go back to and have heard so many other people singing it. And I guess, like, with the connection of Inishowen and Derry, it's very close to our hearts. And yeah, for my final performance then, I did up an arrangement of it and had like a kind of string section. There was Conor Caldwell, Caoimhe Flaherty. Yeah, there was a lovely bunch of musicians there playing, and I got Deirdre in to sing. And yeah, we both really loved it, and a good few people had said to us, and we would play it ourselves, like at different gigs or whatever, and a lot of people had said to us, like, why wasn't that on the EP, would you record that? And we are, you know, a good few years later, we finally got our heads together and recorded it, and it's kind of mad that it took us so long, because our dad records everything in the house. I think
we have no excuses
because of that, though. You're not booking into a studio, so we're all like,
I know,
if we're free in an evening, sure, we'll go record now.
But you're not putting a time limit on it, or a date in the diary, so
we would probably need that, but so we released that yesterday. And we're hoping to maybe build on that and create a bit of
good stuff. I'm glad to hear it, because I remember receiving the Linear EP and listening to it and thought it was just gorgeous. And then I realised then, you know, who you were, where you came from, and it's lovely to see the next generation, you know, just coming to fruition now and blossoming in the way that you two have. And I know there's another generation coming up behind you as well in Inishowen. So for anybody who's not familiar with that area, and I wouldn't be myself, I have to say, but there's something in the water. There's something around Inishowen when it comes to music that is just so rich. Like, how aware were you of that when you were growing up?
Our mother is a musician, and she was taught by Denny McLaughlin. Both of our uncles play music. We were surrounded by music. Our dad owned a music venue as well in Culdaff, McGrory's Hotel. So we were constantly surrounded by music, and we were so lucky to be exposed to every genre that came through, because McGrory's wasn't just trad. There was a whole mix of music. So that's played a big part, I think, in our musical upbringing. But for Inishowen in particular, the musicians who used to come in to do the sessions and stuff, we were just surrounded. I don't think we even were aware. We are now, but at the time it was second nature. It was our life. So looking back now, constantly surrounded by, like, Denny McLaughlin, he just recently passed away. Seamus Grant as well, he passed on when we were quite young. Teresa McClure, they're like, the list is endless.
And then you have all these legendary figures who were collecting as well, and that seems to be very prominent in Inishowen. And I know on your mummy's latest album, she calls it pour, and I thought it was the most beautiful word I'd never heard. So it's P-O-Fada-or in the Irish language, means literally like people, families who have music just dripping out of them.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And
Yeah.
we all know families like that who are poor.
Yeah.
And then she references, isn't it, Charles McGlinchey
Yeah.
specifically
Yeah.
there. But he's only one of a number who had
Yeah.
collected songs and
Yeah.
and tunes from the area.
The amazing thing about Charles McGlinchey as well, he collected a lot of the songs that were the last of the Gaeltacht in Uris. There was a Gaeltacht, I think, until the early 1900s in Uris, which is a very secluded part of Inisowen. So a lot of the songs and poems he collected were some of the last in that Uris Irish, which is so special that they've been captured. So we went and put melodies to some of the songs.
Gorgeous.
And yes, there's the likes of Honoria Galway as well. She's an amazing collector. We've just finished a big project there. There was a documentary made on her. So there's Angela Byrne, wonderful historian. John Molden as well was involved in it. Brilliant song collector. He's from Belfast originally, but he's living in Inishowen at the minute. And
But what was the significance of this woman, Honoria Galway? Like, I don't want to go into it in the detail it deserves. You can watch the documentary for reference, and I'm sure you can find that on YouTube, can you?
I think they're going to make it public soon. We
Yeah.
just had a screening there at Donegal Arts.
And but she's been a figure you've lived with all your lives, knowing about her. But she's again a collector and had all these collections of music from the mid 19th century. Am I right? And around the famine time.
Yeah, famine.
Yeah.
It was all of her music was collected during the famine. But I can't remember. It was Mum or someone had came on. I think Neil or Dad had came on her collection. I don't know, was it through ITMA or something? Grace Toland used to work in ITMA. But yes, that was around 2016, I think. Yeah, around 2016. So only then we started uncovering all this music, and the Old Irish Croonons and Other Tunes is her published collection. But recently then, through this documentary, Angela's just uncovered more songs. So they were arranged as part of the documentary we've done as well. So again, breathing more life. Getting to sing these songs is amazing. Like I feel really, really fortunate to get to perform these songs because they haven't been performed in like hundreds of years.
So you're rubbing your hands together, thinking more material.
Yes.
And then is there a pride, responsibility then when it is from Inishowen, and maybe songs that haven't been heard in a few generations as well?
Yeah, in ways, but it's gorgeous because you don't have any point of reference for them. You're there with the music. Some of them don't have melodies to them either. So we're either coming up with melodies for them, but we have no reference for them. We can take them wherever we want, and Martin Tersh has done an exceptional job arranging some of these songs. Like, they're beautiful. It's amazing to
all the
perform
names you've just mentioned there, like the musical brains and talent that you have working on all these projects. I'd say it's just it's an incredible energy to be drawn from. And then also something you mentioned there, Deirdre, about growing up in the hotel with not just traditional music around you, but loads of different types of music as well. You can tell that in the way you two play music as well. There's freestyling. You're bringing in loads of different genres, influences, and I think that's what makes your music stand out. Was that something you were conscious to do when you started recording together?
I think so. Like, we've both, as much as we've been into trad, also equally loved like soul or like folk music, like, kind of the more alternative folk or jazz or like
funk.
Yeah,
you name it.
loads of different things because we grew up
just
with
love
it.
music, like surprise.
Yeah, and we were really lucky. Like, there were so many days where like we would come home from school and Daddy would be like, "Oh, there's this band from Egypt or somewhere in
They're
for whatever kind of festival," and you'd sit up at the sound desk and you'd listen to it. And I remember from like being really young, just looking at that and being like, "Wow, I want to try and absorb as much of this as possible." And I think for me playing piano, it's really nice to have to mix with your voice. That's you're very traditional, but you also love adding in all these other genres, and it's lovely to try and, I don't know, just create something that feels kind of unique to us, but we're very inspired by a lot of the other like amazing kind of trad singers. Like Cara Dillon was a huge inspiration. We went to see every single gig she did. I think she did every year. She did at least one gig in McGrory's, and we were there.
At
everyone.
As well.
Alton, Mairead, Namini is such an inspiration.
Of December, they used to play every year. Yeah. So same again, Mairead. There's like Mary Dillon as well.
Yeah.
What was it about those women particularly that stood out to you?
I just think there's something so pure about all of their voices, and I also just love the way, especially like Cara Dillon and Sam arrange all of the songs. Like it's just really
completely get lost.
Yeah, it's
like listening to their albums. You can just,
and also they tour songs, well-known songs apart, and then put them back together again in ways that hadn't been imagined. Like I'm just thinking Black as the Colours coming into my head. That riff at the start that just is hypnotic and just draws you in, and then Cara starts to sing and you're like, and I remember when that album came out, because this is how old I am, but it was absolutely amazing that it was somebody from here, from home,
here in a northern accent.
Absolutely,
that's
that
it.
Really
it just
mattered.
all seems so honest and so authentic, and I think that side of Irish music for me has always been what like draws me back in or makes me so passionate about it, because it just feels really natural and it looks really natural. It's like seeing all these people and hearing them like talk and sing in their own accents and have all these songs in their area and stuff.
And then did you also think, seeing so many brilliant artists coming to the stage in the hotel and having the access to that, did that also encourage you to do what you're doing and to be performers, to get up on a stage, that it basically came second nature because it was something you'd seen so often? And is a couple of focal for Urahori and Fod Crealta Shaw. A couple of words about our very kind sponsors, Rira Irish Lager. Nish Rira, if you haven't heard about it, it kind of sums up the unpredictable devilment that Irish people are so very good at, particularly here in Maddens, in the heart of Belfast. So Rira celebrates the best bits of being Irish by creating reasons to talk, to meet, to gra, to bant, to hear, to be heard, to be lechela, just that little more often. So music at Maddens, dig it and dig and tossa, agus anish, scoopla fuckle a charja for 18s and over. And please drink responsibly. Couple of focal anish fwy Urahori and Fod Crealta Shaw. Music at Maddens. Music at Maddens is sponsored by McIlroy Guitars. Perfectly balanced, superb craftsmanship, wonderful clarity and tone, a truly unique sound. It's only natural to want one. McIlroyguitars.co.uk for more details.
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
None of our, like in primary and secondary school, none of our friends really played music, so
if anything, I think it was a bit of a like weird thing.
We were all
I was definitely slagged for it for a long time. And I think it was only then, like when we started getting on well or like winning things at Flas, then people were like, oh, that's actually cool, or
getting opportunities. Like we both got to go to the Cairngorm Cayley Trail when I was 2015. I got to go. You went like 2 years after me. Like we spent the summer in Scotland gigging around the Highlands.
And we were like 16. It was amazing.
And our friends be like, "What are you doing? That's so weird. You can't go to your formal because you have to go to a fla. What's that? Why are you going there? Why are you going to Sligo to a fla?"
But it was just such a different life and opened up your mind. And going to something like that, Cairngorm, and then maybe we exposed to a lot of Scottish music when you were there as well.
Yeah. Well, there's that huge tie with Donegal in Scotland.
Yeah.
Like huge, and a lot of the songs around Inisowen have ties to songs in Scotland as well, along the Western Isles. So Scotland was amazing. I loved
I met so many cool people through that. But I think, like, I don't know about you, but I don't know if I ever had like a really long term goal of like I want to be on stage, but we were just always playing music, like we're just always at everything. And Mommy also did a lot of, which I'm glad that she did, but there was a lot of like, we need a harp player in a group call, so you had to learn the harp within 2 months, or like you need a mandolin player, so we had to jump up. And there's a lot of that where you're kind of like, Mommy, but I'm actually so glad of it, because
I'm really grateful.
it got rid of that sense of feeling scared about doing things, and then it just drives you on because you meet more people and you're having more and more crack and making more connections and
getting better at music as well.
yeah, that's the thing. Like it's, I don't know, I think it all just kind of fell very naturally.
Yeah.
Tell me about the support of your parents and having, you know, musicians for parents, people who understand music, love music. Music is life to them.
Yeah.
And then, and you know, when your mummy's concerned as well, the work she's done in preservation and carrying things on from generation to generation as well. Well, you know, how important was that, do you think, to get you to this point?
It was, hugely important.
It's the driver, I think, for both of us. Yeah.
Like she,
so grateful for them.
Obviously, with a group of other people, set up the Inisowen Traditional Music Project. So, when we were young, there was constantly all of these kind of workshops and performances, and it is probably how we met some of our closest friends still when we were like 5 and 6, running around at all of the little summer schools. And
so many musicians, because there was constantly new musicians coming up to teach.
And she was always kind of hammering home how important it was to, when we were doing flas and all, we were playing tunes that she had found from the area, and weren't just kind of going with whatever was popular, you know, with the fla kind of style. It was all very, very much so like being proud of your own heritage, and she put so much work into doing everything to preserve it and uncovering more and like encouraging everyone in our area to keep on playing. And
she's still teaching in so many schools. It's any shop you walk into, there's children. Hi, Roisin. She knows everyone.
Or then a lot of older people too, when your child doesn't, be like, your mommy taught me music. And then she's teaching their kids music.
And then our dad as well with McGrory's, they did so much, brought so much business to Culdaff, and again that there were sessions there like 3 nights a week. I don't think there were many sessions anywhere else in Inishowen at that point. That was really like late 90s to kind of 2015, and it was thriving. There were it was like also that employment as well for people in the area. It like gives people a reason to stay there,
and it made it it's such a cool kind of place to be. And I still absolutely love Culdaff, but it is funny how like the memories from childhood are like this really vibrant place. Obviously when you get older you do you're a bit more aware of the world, but it's really cool to look back on that. I think we definitely didn't really take it on board, you know, when you're a child.
You don't. You don't. You just get on with it. And I think it's the only time whenever you realise that you start to see parts of the jigsaw of life coming together, and you realise, oh right, that's why I'm doing this, because this has all been there all along. And then you can see the patterns developing. And then in terms of both of you then, as I mentioned in the introduction, you both decided to go to UL and study music there. So you went first, Deirdre. So what was the big decision, or when did it become apparent that was going to be the path you would follow?
It was probably after I went to Scotland. I also was not like the best in school, didn't really get on well academically at other subjects. Music and art were the only things I was really good at. So I was like, right, at least go do singing. So I'd applied for a few places, and got into UL, and it was the best 4 years ever. I don't know what exactly, I panicked a wee bit. I think there was a bit of that. I was quite young as well, doing my leaving cert, so I panicked a bit, and I was like, right, I should go do something I'm good at. No, I'll hopefully get a degree out of this. But it turned out to be the best thing ever for me going. I didn't know anyone in Limerick. None of my friends from school went. Moved down on my own, like a whole new life, a whole new friend group. It was
And what about the degree itself then? Because that is world renowned, and you know, started up by the great Micheál O'Sullivan, and the rest is history, as they say. And people who go there tend to seek each other. Bands have formed as part of the degree, and then you know, just the really interesting things that people end up doing. Like, how did it open your mind further to the possibility of music? And then I suppose as well, in your case, you just said that, you know, academically other subjects weren't making sense to you, but music did. How did it enrich that for you?
The course itself is 50% academic, 50% performance. It was the balance of that for me that was the saving grace, because when you had big assignments and stuff due, you had to go practice as well for exams and stuff. So it was having that like physical and versus academic thing for me was I think that's what kept me going and kept me in university, because the thing of sitting and doing exams and stuff in school, I was not able for it. So for me, that was it. And plus, like, the people coming through there all the time, it was incredible. You'd walk in the door, like maybe a wee bit hungover after a night out, and there'd be like, I don't know, like Brian Finnegan standing there like ready for a workshop. Like, okay, I guess. Yeah. And even Mihal walking around too, he had such a presence. I remember the day he passed away too. I was in university, and I do have to say, I feel like something left the Irish World Academy that day. It was such a sad day, but he was the most incredible man.
Did he actually teach you, or did you have access to him at all?
No, he would have done talks and stuff in the university, but no, he never taught me. Magella Bartley was my whistle teacher there, and Roisin Gallagly was my singing tutor, and Karen Casey as well for a while too. So that was amazing, and it was just some of the most random modules, but I got so much out of them. There was like a cricket tunes module there one year. It was I can't remember her name, Sophie. She's a French Canadian fiddle player. But there were so many.
West African drumming.
Gamelan. You could do flamenco dancing, like whatever you wanted to do.
It really, when you try and explain what goes on in the academy, it is so funny to people who are used to college being like going into a lecture room and then going to the library.
Like, I remember walking out of one of our classes one day, and there were all of the ones from contemporary dance were doing some piece on the stairs in the academy. They were all, it was so cool. Yeah. You'd have the gospel choir standing out in the foyer practicing some days. It was just like,
and you could do aerial dance if you wanted to as an extra module.
That sounds amazing.
It really is.
And it must be something. Were you nearly sad when it was over?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah.
Still am a bit sad about it.
Yeah. So then, how do you take it forward then, Ella, after you finish a degree like that, when it's been such clearly a mind-blowing experience for you? Then you've got the certificate. Here you go out and drive the car, see where it's going to take you. Fácan na gá inis ó Arahori and Fácréalta seo. A few words now from the sponsors of this podcast, Music at Maddens. Dunville's Irish whiskey, proudly connected to its past and enthusiastically embracing its future. The spirit of Belfast is back, and it's even better than ever. And I should tell you, Dunville's also sponsors Belfast Trad Fest as well. And this Irish whiskey story is one of fame, fortune, tragedy and revival. It does sound epic, doesn't it? Now restored to its rightful place amongst the world's best whiskies, Dunville's award-winning single malt and vintage blend Irish whiskies are synonymous with premium quality, exquisite taste and rich heritage. And for over 18s only, and please drink responsibly. Sláinte. This week's Music at Maddens is brought to you by Anzac Drinks, which is one of the last remaining family-owned businesses in the north, supplying a wide range of spirits and wines and beers and premium exclusive products, proudly supporting local brands and bringing them to bars and restaurants and off licenses, giving them the spotlight they truly deserve. Along with working in partnership with market-leading global brands, they're committed to personal service, competitive pricing and long-term customer relationships. Anzac Drinks are trusted by independent businesses across Northern Ireland for their reliability and expertise, and they are passionate about helping customers discover both retailer favourites and unique finds. Over 18s only, and please drink responsibly.
Yeah, it's funny, like I think a lot of people go down the path after finishing in UL where they maybe just take on doing a lot of like dance tours and they're just on the road. A lot of people might go on and do teaching or whatever. It was definitely, it's a tough adjustment afterwards because it's not like one of those degrees where you can just rock up and say, look, I am qualified. You still have to kind of earn your
stripes in a way.
And you have to build a reputation for yourself as a musician and get asked to do gigs and everything. That all comes with just being out there doing it. So that trying to adjust to that after and realizing that you have to graft like once you get into this world of music if you want to stay in it, but you have to graft. So I've done a lot of teaching music since graduating.
I have too.
Yeah, just kind of like on the side of doing gigs, and I was asked to join Three on the Bunt, who were also formed in Limerick, and they were all a few years ahead of me. Was asked to join them, and since that, like, I've been on tour a good bit with them, which has been amazing, and I've got to see such cool parts of the world, and it's been such good exposure for me to just try and get used to being on stage and the whole lifestyle of touring and everything.
And being part of a band as well is a different dynamic.
Yeah, definitely. And as much as I knew them from before, it's like you get to know people in such an intimate way because you're on the road with them, like in the car with them every day. But we have great crack, like we really do have great crack, and everyone has, you know, their heads screwed on and have all their own kind of things that they do. So when you come together, it's kind of a lovely little escape where we all just have our own, you know.
But it's great. It's great to see, and also you're buzzing from it, and it seems that the degree has also given a lot of confidence to go and try things, do this, do that, and also confidence in your ability and what you can do and what you can offer.
That was the thing as well about being from Inisowen. You did Sheensa 1 year, didn't you? Yeah. But I never got the opportunity to do that.
Oh, Sheensa Galen.
Yeah, never got the opportunity to do Mehel. Didn't really do scores. Only did like groupie calls. So that we performed in a very like around Inisowen. It's a widespread area, but we're so secluded up there. So we're very used to performing around there. So actually going down to Limerick and having to perform in front of people who are your peers, who are really, really talented musicians, that was such exposure therapy. You know, it was so good to
I had to get over any fear that was there. You really had to just get over it and get on with it. And the competitions you mentioned there, Deirdre, like the likes of Mehel and Sheensa, and the Score, which is the GAA cultural competition, which is run every year, and then obviously you have Flachioil na Heron also. So these are all big competitions in the calendar of teenagers. For some teenagers, basically the year revolves around these competitions and the different rounds. It's the most exciting time of your life, and you know, I remember we had Slogo instead of Sheensa, and Easter week you had it blocked out because you were getting on the bus and you were going with your pals to wherever the finals were on, because it moved around every year, and that was part of the crack. So those competitions and being involved in them, so you said you didn't have the chance to do that, but you would have done the Flachioil. What was that? How important were those competitions to you growing up?
We have a funny relationship with the Fla.
They were important in one way, but I think we both from quite early on were kind of very skeptical, or not. We weren't as like hardcore competitive. I'd say. We're really as a lot of the ones you'd see storming out because they didn't get like third recommended. I always find that bizarre.
There's a drama series in the Fla competitions that hasn't been written yet.
Fla mums.
And I think like our mum, like she was definitely encouraging us to, sometimes pushing us to do things and saying that we should just go up and do whatever, but like she did not care. Or dad either, like no one really cares if you win or lose or whatever.
But for us it was good just practicing. It taught me how to practice.
That's
was
the
terrible.
thing. I think that's the thing some parents are grateful for, because it gives you a bit of a goal. So it's not about the competition, it's not about winning, it's about, right, Deirdre, get up them stairs and will you practice? Because if you don't have that goal, they're not going to practice, and the parent can't threaten you with anything either.
And it also really humbles you when you rock up and you just make an absolute...
And I have so many
times of it. I've also done that so much where I just sat up and blanked, and then you know you're there as like a 11-year-old and you just have to be like, okay,
I have to get on with it.
It
teaches you good perseverance, I think. I did find flaws for me. It was all because I didn't practice enough, but I find them so anxiety inducing.
I think it's brilliant because there'd be so many people watching or listening to this who are saying, yes, me too. You know, not everybody can be the best, and there have to be champions and there have to be winners, but there's also a lot of people who did blank on stage when they forgot the words. I remember Cara Dillon actually telling me that she, I think, was an Irish song, and she just went totally blank, made up the words and didn't get through and felt awful afterwards. You know, but that's what people do, because I suppose it's how you react in those moments that's what this is all about, isn't it?
But still, like, we had a lot of like great times.
Oh, we had the
Also,
best times,
like
yeah.
the group of girls for us it was like the social event of your summer. If we could get
Yeah.
past the Ulster, like there was one
we were
year.
flying.
Oh, we were absolutely
Under 12, actually.
loving life, and like all of our best friends are still from that group of girls.
Yeah.
From when we were
got
under 12.
first. We got first in the Ulster one year, and it was
Still one of the highlights of my life.
Yeah, honestly, it was just we were from such a small branch as well,
Yeah.
in a show, and you're coming up against, like, I remember Ards and
Yeah.
Cahir Valley and all. We'd be getting there. These like kids. I remember my competition one year for whistle was Lachlan McKibben, James McKenna, Sinead McKenna. I literally got there. I was like, what? What the?
You're
Like,
taking
You
all
playing
the
the kids
Canada
too?
here.
why are they paying to whistle like that for 12?
I know.
But it was so cool to see that, and especially then as we were like got older, we would go to the flat more just for the social event.
Yeah.
That was probably the driver for me as well, a big
Yeah.
driver for me to go to Limerick, because it was
You
just
met
getting to meet
people
all
from
these
everywhere, yeah.
and see these gigs, and it was whenever Flat TV started up, actually 2013.
Yeah.
That was like
Yeah.
for us, that was the big year.
I also I have a good few students who want to do the flaws, so I like help them prep their tunes and stuff, and I always like hammer home to them about this, just like, do it for the crack, do not take this seriously. Like, adjudicators will say lots of things that you will disagree with, and like that's totally fine. I had one year where I won accompaniment at the All Ireland, and I think it was by complete chance, because I was just like, I'm going to just play whatever, and it was definitely leaning on more so the jazzy side. And the guy, I can't actually remember who it was, lovely man though, he
Obviously,
he
because
plays
you
a
wake up and see
and
she won.
but he says the only reason that like it stood out because I wasn't doing the flat style. It was different to everyone else's.
You're
and it
true
just
to
stood out.
yourself.
Yeah, but then the next year I went in, and I'll not say who was adjudicating, but they says, oh, you shouldn't play minor chords in anything. You should always just lean on the major side. And then I says at that point, okay, I'm done with the flat style.
Hang up
You
your
know,
hat.
Yeah.
But you know, but finding that own style and then having the confidence to do that. Like, I remember walking in to a session, I think it was in the Garrick, Deirdre, and you're sitting there rocking on the whistle, and it was
Rocking out.
just rocking out the whistle. But it was just fantastic. Because I think in that particular group, and it was mostly fellas, and then you in the middle of it all. And I thought that was just so important to see that.
Yeah.
Do you think though there used to be a thing where the classes would be full of young girls, and then they'd get to a certain age in their teenage years, and then they would just stop playing music, and you wouldn't see girls in sessions, and you wouldn't see young women, you know, coming into that kind of environment. Is that changing? Can you see more and more young women sticking at it and
absolutely.
jumping into the session and just playing their tunes?
Yeah. Well, I think that a lot of that comes from mum as well. So many of the sessions you walk into that she'd be playing, she is the only woman sitting, keeping up with the rest of them. Do you
Especially
know?
when she was like in her 20s, and she would have been going to like Glencombe and like, you know, big into the whole Donegal fiddle scene. And you look back at the photos, and there might be her and Mairead and maybe
20 men.
a couple of other women in some of the pictures, but it's just all men.
Yeah.
And like that's the case, you know, across the board, I think, for Irish music, and now it's definitely changing. But like I also even think of whenever I started getting into piano accompaniment, all of the people I looked up to are also all fellas now, amazing musicians.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do like that there's way more representation now,
Yeah.
and also a lot more women who are continuing to tour and be professional musicians, and don't just, because that's such a narrative where you do a couple of years and then you have to settle down and get a different kind of job.
Now, when you say that, you know, most of the ones you look up to are fellas, there's also a woman you look up to.
Oh yes.
And there's two.
No, that's the exception. Yeah.
There's two kind of reasons why I'm going to mention her as well. Is that your two sisters from Donegal, you know, and then you think of the Brennans, and you think of the Brennan sisters, and then you think of Myra and Shane and O'Donnell, even though they're from Meath, but they're really Donegal.
Yes.
And they would say that themselves, I would say.
And we claim them.
And you claim them. But, you know, those influences, have they been influences on you? And what they've
Absolutely,
achieved, not just locally, nationally, but on a global stage?
Yeah. Oh my God, they are just incredible. I think it's again the thing of like sisters singing in harmony, and just the way that they blend together, and their knowledge and everything of the music is just phenomenal. And yeah, I was saying to you before, I got the absolute honor of doing, I think it was a good 2.5 hours worth of an interview with Trina for my thesis, because I was trying to look at kind of the roots of piano accompaniment and how it's developed in Irish music.
So this is Trina O'Gonnell, who basically revolutionised accompaniment in that way with her work with the Bothy Band and Relativity and Night Noise and all the other projects she's been involved in.
Yeah, and it was just incredible. And she talked a lot about like all of her background and like, you know, telling stories, and then also would play a few tunes and sing songs in the middle of it all, and I just sat with my jaw on the floor, just like it was incredible. And I'm really, really glad that I have that, even to look back on myself. They're just such inspirational women.
And would have been very influenced by that, you know, that jazzy side of things as well, mixing it all up, and like you were saying. And like you do that a lot in your singing as well, Deirdre.
Yeah, I definitely do. See, I was classically trained and also did a lot of musical theatre growing up, so would have done all of my grades and stuff. And then whilst I was doing that, was teaching myself traditional singing. So I like started singing when I was about 8. And again, the fla was somewhere. Mommy's like, you need to enter the sing competition. So learn these songs. It was definitely carried on songs. And yeah, God, that's so I think I've been learning it all at the same time. So I think I don't really have a certain style. I don't know. I'm unsure of what my style is.
I don't know. I think there's a style in there. There definitely, you'd know it's you singing and how you interpret songs for sure. And I just wanted to ask you as well on that, what was it like for the two of you to perform on your mummy's latest album, Pour? With Roisin McGrory.
It was lovely. I mean, it's always nice that she asks us as well, because
she's very silent for
she
us.
has access to all of the best musicians in Ireland, and she still wants her wee daughters. It is lovely.
It was lovely too. The whole, you were saying there earlier about it, but all of the tunes are composed by local people,
like all people we know, and it's just everything about it is so meaningful. So you wanted to, you know, if you can contribute in any way, and everyone I think who was all on board for giving up their compositions, everyone was just so proud of it. And like I think as much as it is Mommy's name on it, it was really not about her. Like she's trying to capture all these people who might not ever record their own stuff, you know. So she's recording their tunes, so they're out there. And it was really special, and very proud of her.
And rightly so. And rightly so. So what's next for you two then?
That is a good question.
We have a session later on in Deer's Head.
That's as far as we're going right now.
Well, you've got a new single, The Streets of Derry, and that's following on from that gorgeous EP, Linear, you released a little while ago. And if anybody hasn't listened to it, go and find it. It's on Bandcamp, and the new single is on Bandcamp as well. So what will you be working together more in the future? Can that happen because you live busy lives?
Well,
Well, you're based in Galway at the minute, and I'm living in Donegal. I'm finishing up work for a charity there, so I've had a very full-on job the past year and a half. So I'm starting to get a bit of mental space again to get back into playing. I haven't really been playing or singing that much, so I'm finding it very cathartic at the minute getting to play with Ella. So hopefully,
I'm definitely trying to push doing more stuff together. And also, we've talked about this so much, but I would love if we could get a bit of a jazzy backing, you know, a drummer, bass player, guitar player, to maybe do a bit of a tour at some point. So definitely want to try and start working on that, and just get ourselves out there.
Looking at more music as well. I want to do that as well, go through collections and try and find more songs. So that is on my agenda anyways.
Coming from Inisowen, there's absolutely no shortage of material, as we've just spoken about throughout the conversation. It's been so good to talk to both of you today. Thank you very much for joining us here in the Snug at Music at Maddens. And now we're going to hear the new single, Streets of Derry. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ella and Deirdre McGrory.